a busy day across the U.S. We've got that tornado risk up into Minnesota and Wisconsin. All of that thanks to a front that's setting up across the northern portion of the U.S. We've got a low pressure system in Minnesota this morning, making it pretty rainy as we start our morning. So we're talking about a slight risk highlighted there in yellow from Minnesota all the way down to northern Nebraska onto the tornado forecast, because if you go back up into Minnesota and into Wisconsin, let's get a little farther down in there. There we go. We do have a level 2 tornado risk for today. Pretty rare, not very common in this portion of the country. It goes all the way from Eau Claire all the way up to Rhinelander. Again, a few tornadoes are likely from some of those surface-based storms that are likely to start within the next few hours. We already saw that rain is ongoing in this area of the country. That will most likely intensify as we go into the later portion of the day. And last but not least, we have your wind forecast today, which stretches across a good portion of the northern plains. What I'm really watching for this wind forecast is isolated strong wind gusts, 60 to maybe 75 miles an hour. Pretty isolated for most of the day. However, that changes as we head into the overnight hours. We've got a line of storms that's going to stretch from Minneapolis all the way down to Sioux Falls. That will continue to track down to the south and east, right into the center of Iowa. Now, I know we had a question about Omaha. We'll start here with Omaha, but I'll have another forecast for you later on in the forecast. It'll be a late night system coming through late tonight, early tomorrow morning. Strong winds will most likely be your biggest concern from Omaha to Des Moines early tomorrow morning. Alrighty, let's get into the timeline. National view, you can see that we've got 2 areas to watch for today. A line of storms coming from that low pressure system and that cold front, and then another line of storms stretching south to north, north to south, from Wyoming to Colorado. Again, we've got a line of storms that are forming off of a cold front later on this afternoon and into the late evening hours. So what you're going to see are isolated storms starting off your afternoon. South Dakota, northern side of Nebraska, storms are pretty isolated. But that coverage expands and increases as we head into the late evening hours here, and you're going to see a pretty well-defined line of storms. As this continues to congeal together, you'll start to see these areas where this line of storms starts to bow out. Do you kind of see that? Maybe right there in between Waterloo and Des Moines. What this indicates to us is we are likely to have some strong winds with this. Now, I think how strong and for how long is still a big question that we may not know until these storms actually form today. So we'll see how intense, how severe these storms actually get. However, I do think that that strong wind is going to be your biggest risk here from Omaha to Des Moines all the way up to Waterloo. Now I think we're going up to the north, yes, and we're going to talk about that tornado risk in Minneapolis. So just a reminder here, we have a level 2 tornado risk highlighted here in yellow, and then a level 1 highlighted there in green. This does include Minneapolis and the Twin Cities today. What you're going to see is the first round of storms, isolated severe. Most of these storms will be non-severe. Later on, with that second round of storms, that is whenever we get more widespread, strong to severe storms with that higher tornado risk. So that'll be later on in the afternoon and evening hours, closer to 4 o'clock to 8 o'clock tonight. So there's your 2 rounds of storms. I do have a specific Minneapolis forecast here. So city forecast, looking at Minneapolis. Again, your timeline is 4 to 8 o'clock tonight. Your hail risk is very low. Could you get some very, very isolated, larger hailstones in there? I guess you can't rule it out. I don't think that you have to worry about that. What you need to be more focused on is the strong wind and that tornado risk this afternoon and evening.